you right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, guys, any...
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
All right, everybody. What's up? It's January 30th, 2024. Hello, everyone coming on. Say good evening to us. You know how we do it. This is me and my girl, Stephanie Marie. Niner gang. Y'all did it. Yes. You guys actually are going to Super Bowl 58. And yes. I had to have you on the show because right now you're in the victory seat. And so welcome everybody coming on. Please share. Sharing is caring. And let's get ready for a nice hour of sports. Now, let me just also, before we start, Northeast Streaming Sports Platform, which this show airs on, their page had to go down today. They have a new page. So if you receive an invitation from me or All Things Football from a lady's perspective, please go ahead and like that page and follow that page. That is the new and improved Northeast Streaming Sports Facebook page. Now, nothing changes on Roku or YouTube, but I just had to go ahead and put that plug in there. Stephanie, how are you? I know you're feeling good.
I am doing really good. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Guys, congratulations. You know, NFC champions. You know, I'm partial because Christian McCaffrey, former Panther, is there. So definitely loving to see him win. And he had some absolutely big plays. I think he had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3, but he did some really good stuff. Like he's been a really good reason why we've been winning this year.
Yes, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. You know, Panthers go other places and they seem to soar. So congratulations to him. Now, were you ever in a position that you felt like, hey, I don't know if this is going to happen for my guys this year?
Okay, so when I was on your show last week, we were talking about the Packer game. And after they came back from the Packer game and they actually pulled out of that, it gave me a little boost for this game because I was like, we're down. And then I'm in a lot of 49er, and I know you're in a lot of Panther little groups, and we're chatting back and forth. And one of my girls, Erin, she was like, you know what? We're a second half team. And I was like, you know what? You are so right. Yes, we are. And so we went ahead and it kind of gave me a boost. Like, I was like, are we going to win this? Like, but I remember Kittle, he was like saying, I'm going to say this at halftime. You know, they got us during halftime, but he told everybody, I'm going to say this, we're going to pull out of this and we're going to win. So I could tell the whole world that we won. And I was even faithful at the halftime. But when I think Ayuk, that was just the turning point of the whole game. When Ayuk caught the ball after it had bounced off this guy's helmet, I was just like, that was an unbelievable catch. I was like, no way. Did he just do that? And it was amazing. I really liked it.
Definitely unbelievable. Brock Purdy was 20 for 31 and 267 yards and passing, 1 touchdown. He did have 1 interception. And that actually gave a little bit of life to the Lions. And the Lions, let's not forget, even though the 49ers are your team, let's not forget to give credit to the Lions because they had a devastating blow. Now, in the first quarter alone, it looked like it was going to be all Lions, 14 points off the rip, while the 49ers were scoreless. In the second quarter, Lions add another 10 to that. And the 49ers seem like they're coming back at this point with that 7. Then it was like almost a tale of 2 halves. After the halftime, it was all Niners. 17 points in the third quarter and then 10 in the fourth quarter, only to the Lions 7, eking by 34-31. And I mean, they barely covered the point spread. I think Vegas had started out with a 4-point spread, but it dropped down to 2.5 or 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
And so they covered the spread as far as, the deficit with the score. But the Lions, I mean, Dan Campbell's gone on record as saying that it's so difficult to get back to the playoffs year after year. You see that. And so it's very unlikely that they will find themselves in this great position, for lack of a better word, after waiting for 30 years to get back. And honestly, Stephanie, you and I are only a year apart. We went to high school and elementary school and everything together. We were in high school the last time the Lions won a divisional championship. It was 93. I was actually a senior, junior. So, the underdog story is always one that everyone's interested in. Christian McCaffrey, 20 carries for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. I digress about the third touchdown from earlier. I just felt like every time I looked, I saw him in the end zone. David Montgomery, 15 carries and 93 yards and 1 tutty. But Deebo Samuel, who came in with a shoulder injury, was questionable throughout the week, 8 receptions and 89 yards. What were your thoughts when you saw these powerhouses? We'll get back to some of the stats in a moment. But what were your thoughts when you saw these powerhouses literally fighting and battling it out? And good evening, Earlene. I see you, my sister out of Richmond, Virginia. She's a Cowboys fan tuning in with us tonight. Thank you for joining us. What were your thoughts?
Well, I think that the Lions did come in pretty quick and they were really good. And not to take anything away from them because they've been a really good team. They didn't get there by accident, I hear commentaries and all kinds of stuff from, like the big talk heads. And it's like the underdog story is like a wonderful story. And America loves an underdog story unless it's Brock Purdy. Now, Brock Purdy is the underdog story that America is not they're not on a bandwagon with that yet. And when I was hearing them explain like the playoffs and how many teams were in, they were like, oh, you have all these 1-seeded quarterbacks or all these amazing quarterbacks. And then you have Brock Purdy. I heard that said from one announcer and I was like, is she serious? Like he is just the most humble, making them, throughout the year he's had like the best scores. He's rated the highest. He's like up for MVP with names like Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott. And when they said that they trusted Goff more than they trusted Purdy, I did
hear that.
Get out of here. Like Goff, I'm not going to say anything bad about them because the Lions played a really good game. They really did. I just feel like the 49ers are a team of you have to stay with it. They will wear you down and tire you out. And that's why it's a second half team. And I've always thought that about them. Even if they get behind, they have monsters like Bosa and Hargrave and just Fred Warner. They attack you and then they keep doing it and keep bringing the pressure and you're tired. And if you're not experienced enough to have the endurance, then you're just not going to make it. And I feel like this year's a lot different than when we faced the Chiefs in the Super Bowl last time because Bosa was a rookie. Then you had Deebo Samuel. He was a rookie. And then you have people like, I think Fred Warner was like 2-time. He was like 2 years in. But now they're all they have all that experience behind them.
The maturing.
Some really good people. And then you throw in McCaffrey and Purdy. I am so confident in this team right now. I was confident in them the whole time. And when we got Hargrave was it Hargrave that the Washington? No, that came from the Eagles. We got somebody from Washington. Who did they give us? Young. They gave us Young. And when they gave us Young, I was just like, oh, it's over. We're going to win. We're going to get the chip. I even heard Stephen A say that we were going to get the chip early on in the year, but then he started changing the story as the year progressed. when
Yeah,
we
Stephen
lost
A can be fickle.
yeah, when we lost those 3 games in a row, he was like, I don't know about them anymore.
And I
But
think a lot of people kind of during that time may have
mhm,
transitioned because,
right,
everybody wants someone that's undefeated, but we have to realize undefeated does not mean champion.
that's right,
Like for the entire season, it's a different caliber of football in the
right.
postseason than it is in the regular season, and that would explain why Dallas, who is 12-5 for the last 3 seasons, have yet to secure the NFC Championship, let alone a Super Bowl.
And
Um,
yeah, and if the best team doesn't always win Super Bowl because they
right.
have one game and you go home. If you have a bad game, if you have a bad time, if you play horrible for that 60 minutes, you're going home.
Mhm.
And there's no excuses. They don't give you like a second game and 3 out of, 5 or nothing. It's
Like a
just
series.
one
Like
game.
like
Mhm.
yeah, like a series like baseball has or
That's right.
even the NBA playoffs. You're right, you're one and done.
Mhm.
And
And
that's a unique thing to bring out because a lot of people don't realize
right.
that. I didn't even think about that until you mentioned that.
Right. And yeah, like with the series with baseball, hey, this is the best team this year. Even with hockey, you have a series that you have to win, and you're the best team because you won like all these games out of. But football, I think, is the only one that doesn't do that because even with basketball, they do that as well.
They
And
do that. And
yeah.
even Tom Brady actually gave some props to Brock Purdy. Um it's definitely interesting to see how everyone, like you said, they actually had the opportunity to have him in MVP talks, and
Mhm.
rightly so. He is certainly a second quarter quarterback. Now, Brock Purdy matches Joe Montana in a rare feat that no NFL quarterback has pulled off in 39 years. And that is just like we talked about, basically pulling it off that comeback win against Detroit during the NFC Championship because he had that huge second half. Over the final 2 quarters, he was nearly perfect. Not only did he complete 13 of 16 passes for 174 yards and a touchdown in the second half, but he also had 3 scrambles for 52 yards, with all of those scrambles giving the 49ers a first down. And so, despite trailing by 17 points at the half, he pulled a Tom Brady move. Let's be clear.
Yes.
Now, his perfect second half was a reminiscent of something Joe Montana might have done because Purdy matched Montana in the NFL record books on Sunday. With the Lions win, he became the first quarterback in 39 years to sweep every other playoff team in the conference. The
Mhm.
NFC playoff field consisted of the Cowboys, Lions, Buccaneers, Eagles, Rams, and Packers. And he led the 49ers to a win over every single team for the first time in 39
Mhm.
years since Joe Montana's days. So Brock Purdy definitely playing Purdy good. And let's see, Lynn Red is on here. He says it's Mr. Irrelevant. He is about to get paid though. So those are the best ones when
Exactly.
you're irrelevant and no one's checking for you. That's the
Mhm.
best thing. And hello, Linda, producer Linda says she'll be watching on Northeast Streaming Sports Production Roku channel. She shared and have a great show. Thank you so much, producer Linda. You have a great night. And Karen is saying Chase Young, who you guys got from Washington, is
Yes.
definitely a great player. And
Mhm.
he's definitely an asset, Stephanie.
He
What do
is.
you think going into, because they have a couple of weeks coming up before this next matchup? What is it that the 49ers have to do to beat America's favorite? Oh, for lack of a better word, lack of a better quote. Everybody's, you can't bet against Mahomes. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he's already shown that he can throughout the whole year. He just needs to be himself. I think if the 49ers stay healthy and just be themselves, they're going to win it. And I really like this year, and we talked about this, is kind of hard for me because my husband Chris, I lost him in November. He's a really big Chiefs fan, and I remember we had gotten married like right after the first time that the Chiefs had beaten us in the Super Bowl. Almost didn't get married, but we still got married the next day. And It's kind of weird to watch this matchup all over again with like different people, but just the matchup itself, it's like kind of bittersweet, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to go for my team all the way, but then there's that soft spot I still have for the Chiefs. You know, I would have rather, I guess, played the Ravens and went like full force, like kill them, do it, you know, get into that, you know, like football rage. But this year is going to be kind of different for me. I am going to stick with my team. I'm not a bandwagon fan. I'll tell you that, but I've been a 49er fan for, I think it's the longest relationship I've ever been in my life.
Well, I definitely, we definitely express our condolences for myself. And
Yeah,
I know we talked
absolutely.
just a little bit. I literally just found out right before we hit air about your husband. So I'm so very sorry about that, especially with it being so new. This definitely has to be, extremely difficult, but I'm definitely here for you.
Yeah.
And Anissa has just come on and says hello, and she's saying your classmate, my sister, sending
Yeah.
hugs, Steph. So thank you, Anissa.
Anissa is so amazing.
That's gonna be one thing, but let's put a small pause in the 49ers real quick, because
Hmm.
we could
Sure.
talk about them for a minute. What actually happened to Detroit? So say the 49ers are not your team and you're watching this game. What happened to Detroit? They literally looked like they were in the entire game,
Hmm.
and then they looked like they were worn out that second half.
They did exactly what we did in Super Bowl. They stopped the run game. They let their foot off the gas and started passing and passing. And the run game, they were getting in the first quarter. And this is what I saw. Like in the first half, they were getting like 7 yards every single time. Will average 7 yards like every single time they were going. If they would have kept with the run game, it would have been hard to beat them. It would have been hard for us to come back. But they let their foot off the gas, and I don't know why McDaniel was calling those plays. I don't know. And then the field goal, he's always been one to say, "Hey, we're gonna go for it no matter what." And but then he did a field goal, and that surprised me. And I was like, really? And if he would have went for it and got those 2 yards instead of doing a field goal, then maybe we couldn't have caught up. You know, like
Mhm.
I just think it was coaching.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to coaching. Dan Campbell has been
Hmm.
known the entire season to go for it on fourth down,
Hmm.
go for 2-point conversions instead of one. And I just always was told you're supposed to get the points, collect the points, and worry about everything on the back end unless you cannot,
Right.
if unless you're at the end. But he was, we
It
saw
was.
that in the Dallas game.
Hmm. It was 2 yards. I think they could have got that. I was shocked that they did a field goal. I actually, when I was watching, and I'm like, they're gonna go for this, and I'm
Right,
like,
right, right.
I was like, defense, defense, you know. But I mean, and then again, like I'm not a coach, so what if they didn't get it? Then you would have regretted not getting any points at all. So I mean, we can, dissect it this way or that way. But it's just I feel like the run game wasn't stuck. No, they didn't stick to the run game. Would be what I think happened.
Definitely not the run game. And I just want to show you something real quick. I'm going to share something. Everybody can see this. Now this was before the actual. Let me see if I can do it. This is before the actual last playoff, whereas the for the Lions and everybody was still in it. Everybody was still in it at this point. But there is basically this whole thing about who's rooting for who,
Hmm.
and all that sort of thing. Like the country is pretty much divided because supposedly just the Yay area is the Yay area, but you're a testament that hey, we have fans everywhere. Like you're in North Carolina, you're from North Carolina,
Hmm.
and so you know that's how we think. And Karen Belk says it perfectly. I can't for some reason put the shot up, but she said, sorry, I love CMC and Coach Wilkes, Carolina ties. That's how we do. But she's a Chiefs fan and has good friends in Kansas City. So I got you, Karen. I got you. And hello to my makeup and hair artist, Katrina Harris. She normally does my curls. I'm in locks now, but she still beat this face like Ike did
Yeah.
Tina. So thank you, Trina. Hey,
Good
girl.
job.
And so yeah, we feel you on that, Karen. This is gonna be one of those things that unfortunately people kind of are treating Mahomes a little bit like Tom Brady. They're so used to seeing him in that position of winning. So Brock Purdy, who's now coming up, is like pretty good. And speaking of, we got the pink fan fur. Hey, hey sis, this is
Hey.
she said, hey Panthers fan here. That's Sonja Howard. She's the pink fan fur person. So thanks for coming on. And she said she's rooting for CMC. So most of the
Yeah,
Carolinas are rooting for y'all because of
I
CMC.
know.
You get, and
Not
then
really. You're
you
rooting
gotta
for
love him.
McCaffrey.
You gotta love him. You gotta love him. And I will say, my god brother in Texas is a huge 49ers fan. Shout out to Chris Barclay. And one year I actually supported him. I had the whole quest for the 6 pictures as my profile and everything because I wanted them to win. And it's just one of those things right now that either team could win. I really feel either team could win. Like, how do you like there's no way of knowing because in this last game alone, David Montgomery had 15 carries and had 93 yards and averaged 6.5 yards on each one of those for the Lions. But when you're over here talking, so he had comparable numbers. But when you look at the weapons that the 49ers have, people we don't really talk about a lot, like Elijah Mitchell, who had 4 carries himself and still had 7 yards, averaging only a little over 1 yard, but enough to add to what we needed, what you guys needed to win. And like you said, George Kittle, a beast, a beast. Only
Yes.
2 receptions during that game, though. Only 2 receptions, but 27 yards. So he got 2 first downs that were pivotal. And then you look at Fred Warner, who got those tackles on the defense. He didn't do any sacks, but you look at him, and then you look at Nick Bosa, who also had 3 tackles. And like you said, you guys just got Chase Young. You all are, and then Javon Hargrave, who was already Randy Gregory, people that we don't really talk about too much, but enough. And that special teams. You guys got Ray McLeod III from the Steelers. He had 1 return and ran it for 28 yards.
Right.
All of those people that are lined up, you have an arsenal of weapons going into this game. Now, it wouldn't be fair for me to talk about all the 49ers weapons
Right.
without talking about the comparisons. So the Chiefs, people say don't bet against Mahomes. Well, the Ravens looked like they were coming back on them. 10-17. It looked like it was close, but I promise you it wasn't. Tied in the first quarter. Second quarter, Chiefs started to run away with it. 10 points. Third quarter, nobody scored. Fourth quarter, Ravens 3 points. Final score 17-10. Ravens, Lamar, another choke fest that people talk about. Same old Lamar. That's all I saw across social media. Patrick Mahomes was 30 for 39, 241 yards and 1 touchdown. Then you got Isaiah Pacheco, 24 carries and 68 yards and 1 touchdown. And then you got Travis Kelce, who looked like he may be where he needed to be again. He had 11 of his carries and seemed to have a big game. He seemed more solid, more focused. He had one rushing catch for 5 yards, Travis Kelce, but 11 regular receptions for 116 yards, averaging 10.5. Then they have Rashee Rice. They have Isaiah Pacheco. He's putting up all these big numbers. What do you, as a 49ers fan, say when you see all of those weapons coming at you that literally look like a mirror of who you guys have?
I think we have to, because when we went against the Eagles, we were thinking the same thing, and I feel like they need to do this game just like they did the Eagles. Put the pressure on Mahomes so he can't run, and actually put pressure on him. Not and one good thing, we have Trent Williams too. I forgot about him, but he's a big asset. But when we put pressure on the quarterback, so especially the ones that can run out of the pocket, so they don't run, it takes away a little bit of the sacks, but it also puts that pressure, so it forces them to make big plays. But Mahomes is a person that can make those big plays. And I feel like last time when we faced them in the Super Bowl, we were doing pretty good first half, but we also had Garoppolo. And I don't know, I never felt good about a really important game with Garoppolo as my quarterback. And I will always be a 49er fan, but he was so shaky and I loved him. It was like, but he made me feel nervous all the time. I don't get that from Brock Purdy. I just saw this guy has grit. I just saw him come back from a 17-point deficit to beat a team. And most of that he did with his legs. Like, he got out of the pocket, got some of those first downs on his own. He didn't depend on any play calling, any throws or anything, putting it in the playmaker's hand and letting them run for whatever. He did it himself. And that gave me a little bit more confidence, which I was already confident in him. But I'm way more confident in him than I am Garoppolo with this big game. I just am. And something you probably haven't realized, but he has never went to a playoff game. He has never lost one that he has finished or started and finished. Never lost a playoff game that he has, finished that and just lost it. He got hurt in the only one that he stepped out of. So he didn't even get to finish it.
Yeah, so that's a feel-good story right there, because we saw literally Christian McCaffrey playing the role as quarterback last year. It was heartbreaking at a minimum. And we were like, gosh, they got, but Pink Fan First says Bosa is a beast. Now, talk to us a little bit about Bosa. His brother plays in the league as well. It's got to be real interesting to see two brothers. We see it with Travis and Jason Kelce, but nobody really talks too much about the Bosa brothers. What is it about this Bosa brother that has us extremely watchful?
Bosa himself had put himself on a really strict diet. And from the last year to this year, because last year, was just blah, it ended sad and everybody was just brokenhearted. Not that we weren't proud of our team, because they did really good. And I feel like if Purdy didn't get hurt, we would have seen this last year. But Bosa he has like really taken the initiative to CMC, hardest worker in the room. Even when I went to the Panthers game against the 49ers, I saw him out there like just working out. He was the first one out of locker room, working out by himself, like doing everything, like getting in his reps and everything. So I feel like Bosa has taken on that work ethic that CMC has. And I follow it a lot and look at, the locker room stories and stuff like that. But Bosa has like this diet where he only eats like fish, and it's kind of like a fish and vegetables and protein, and he doesn't have any kind of carbs that he eats or dairy and stuff like that. So he's on a really strict diet, has like
whole diet,
really low body fat, but he does strength training and he's like really focused in and like honed in on being the best that he can be. So I'm not surprised that he is where he is right now.
Yeah, we've definitely seen him physically look different on the field, and even just like you said, his appearance, and that is so true. Bosa is a beast. Now we're gonna plug in one more comment here about the 49ers for now, and then I got to get some NFL news that we'll talk about. But Karen says Andy Reid will have a good game plan like he did for the Ravens. Impressed by the Chiefs' defense and discipline in the last game. So when it comes down to it, because when you have two good teams that are playing each other, at the end of the day, it really comes down to who does not make the most mistakes, who's penalized the least, who protects the ball the most. It's kind of the opposite. Protect the ball the most and commit penalties the least or error, so to speak. Is this game going to be a close game? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it is going to be a close game. I think both teams are really good teams. I think they're going to play their best. I think we're going to get to see Taylor Swift a lot, but but I think that with the football, I think that I think it's going to be a close game. And you're right. I think whoever protects the ball the most or who makes the least mistakes is going to come out on top.
And you're right, because I was just looking at the comments and wondering why Pink Fan first said you mean Taylor, and I was about to be like, Taylor who? And I almost forgot. She is the MVP right now.
Mm-hmm.
They said yesterday $353 million has trickled into the Chiefs and all those games since the Swift movement has started. So Swifties who are not even into football, don't even know sports or not even interested in it, they just want to get a glimpse of her. So I'm like, I hope they last forever because, I want to see him win. I want to see him happy. But, honey, he better not break her heart. That's all I got to say. He better not. Those Swifties are powerful.
But it's really good to see women in football or young girls are watching the game, even if it is because of her. Maybe they'll pick it up and maybe they'll start watching it because of her. It doesn't matter how they got here. They're here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's kind of like and that's why I'm here. Because I want people to watch because I'm a girl, I'm a lady.
That's
and
right.
So Anissa says Me Too is going to be a showdown. And Anissa also says, and we're going to see Taylor Swift more at the game than at her own concert.
That's funny.
There was some commentary. I think it was Alan Michaels that got sidelined. That whole little group of folks because they refused. They were like over Taylor Swift. They felt like, they didn't want the fact that, she was being shown or, they felt like it was taken off the game, but that's part of the game. Now, I'm going to be honest with you though, Stephanie. They do not need to show her every single play Travis makes. I don't need to see her reaction if he gets a first down. Now, an occasional touchdown, yes. He's going to do this and the side and, but every time he drops the ball, it's almost like she has her own camera crew now. And I'm like, I applaud the relationship. Like I said, I hope you guys last forever. But please, I don't need, that's almost like how would we feel if we were there? We just want to enjoy the game. And at this point, I don't think she's there for the attention. She has her own audience, her own people that pay her attention. And so she does not need that. Now, Travis is probably eating it up. Like, yeah, his jerseys are selling out as if he was not already the greatest tight end already at this point anyway. But, to have the Swift moment, they say she's more powerful than the Beehive. And so the Swift movement, I'm like, I need her to just come on this show. I need Taylor, if you ever see this podcast, please just come on so I can get my subscribers and stuff up and just sit down. All you got to do is come on and show your face for like 1 second. And then
I kind of feel bad for Mahomes a little bit because of all of this, because he's like out there like showing off and doing everything that football needs him to do. And they're showing Taylor Swift. It's like all the attention used to go to him. Like he was the MVP. Now it has switched to Travis Kelce. And I'm like, what? But I mean, I kind of feel it's like that whole thing has taken a little bit of his shine. And that's
go ahead, Stephanie.
I'm just going to stop there. That's my opinion.
It has. I'm not a huge Patrick Mahomes fan. Matter of fact, I'm not at all, but people seem to, like him or whatever. The two quarterback comparisons, we have to look at Patrick Mahomes and then we look at Brock Purdy. Now, we'll start with Brock. Brock is, in this last game, he is now up to an 89% rating as a quarterback. He had 64.5 of his completions for 267 yards. When he played the Packers, he was at 252 yards for 59% completion, ranking him pretty close, 86.5. He's come a long way because overall in his regular season, he had 69.4 completions. He has 4,280 yards for the season, for the regular season. 31 touchdowns and only 11 interceptions. And I say and only because at least it's not half. He has 113 as his ranking for the regular season. For his career, he has 5,654 yards, 44 touchdowns, and only 15 interceptions. So he transcends his touchdown/interception rule greatly. Now, when you flip the script and you look at Patrick Mahomes, who's been here a little longer, but you still look at his trajectory as far as what his stats are, he's actually ranked less than Brock right now. On the last game against the Ravens, he had 241 yards, no interceptions, but one touchdown as a completion rank of 76%. But they ranked him quarterback rise at 100.5%. Now, for the regular season, he has 28,000 yards, 28,424, 219 touchdowns. This is for his career, and 63 interceptions. So he's been here for a little bit longer. During the regular season, he had 4,183 yards. That's this year, 27 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So he's almost breaking even. The quarterbacks are very comparable at this point. They're very comparable. And so you have to look at this is going to be a nail biter. Like Anissa said, it's going to be a showdown. She says she's Tay saturated. One moment, real quick. Let me just reintroduce you because I got a lot of comments running in here real quick. I'm trying to filter them out. I'm sitting down with the one and only Stephanie Marie Triplett right here. Niner gang fan, Super Bowl 58 appearance. And she just shared with us, unfortunately, tragically, she lost her husband in November, who was a diehard Chiefs fan. And they are such the 49er Chiefs fan that they got married the day after Super Bowl when these last two teams met. And she said they almost did not because of, what happened last time. So a part of her, her heartstrings, she wants to pull for the Chiefs just for her husband, but she's Niner gang all day. So Karen is saying she's multitasking, watching Tar Heels basketball and your show. Thank you, Karen. And at least I'll say go Heels because that's in Carolina, even though I'm a Duke fan, but they're at Georgia Tech. And Anissa saying that he's the real superstar. So she is true about that. She's talking about Kelsey. Erlene says he has to do more commercial stuff. Okay, there you go. Pop that on me right quick. And then CJ Simone, one of my co-hosts as well, says, hello. Good evening, ladies. Good evening, CJ. He's the painkiller. He's a diehard Jets fan. So living in Florida, but a New Yorker, just moved to Florida a couple years ago. The painkiller. So hello to him, and please share. And everybody reintroducing you guys that's coming on. Good evening. That's just something serious right here. Melanie Jacobs says hello, Stephanie, as well.
Hello, that's my
friends. And CJ said he liked and shared everywhere. Thank you so much. Now, Anissa said she was talking about Mahomes. Mahomes is unstoppable.
Right.
Let's be clear. Right. Mahomes is unstoppable. He is unstoppable. How is it? Because we don't play quarterback to quarterback. We play defense to offense. What do the Niners defense have to do to slow down that run game of Patty Mayonnaise? Some of them call him Patty Mahomes and company, because they are coming.
I think that what they need to do is take really good looks at how Joe Burrow plays him, because Joe Burrow is like his nemesis. They have a hard time beating Joe Burrow. And so how they play the Bengals, I think they really need to kind of look at what they're doing to beat them, and look at Super Bowl last year and what happened, and, kind of get some of Andy Reid's play calling from this year. I know there's going to be a lot of tape watching, a lot of things going on, but Kyle Shanahan has a really, really good resume. He has made superstars out of everyone, and he didn't do really good with Trey Lance, or I guess Jimmy wasn't bad. He led him to the Super Bowl, but I want to see him punch the ticket at the very end. We get to the very end, and I had a friend ask me one time, Stephanie, if I watch this Super Bowl, are they going to lose again? Because we lost to the last two Super Bowls we were in. We lost to the Ravens, to the Chiefs. I want to see us punch the ticket. I want to see them get the monkey off their back. Like, just do it. I'm rooting for Kyle. I think he deserves it. I'm not saying that Mahomes is really, nothing but amazing. I think he's a great athlete, but he can be beat.
He can definitely be beat. And kudos to Christian McCaffrey playing in his first Super Bowl.
I'm so excited.
Christian, yes, coming in 2019. Now he is with you guys. And CJ Simone, the painkiller, says he is the most dangerous when he's allowed to escape the pocket.
Right.
Got to get to him quickly and often, because I posed the question, and thanks for answering that for me, CJ. How do the Niners overcome the offense of the Chiefs led by Mahomes and Kelsey? And what you got to do is you got to stop them. You literally have to stop them. You have to tire them out. You have to cripple them. And you have to, the main thing is you got to keep them off the field. So if your defense shows up and gets a pick six, or what have you, they are weaponless. And we've seen Patrick Mahomes frustrated before. Yes. Every quarterback handles frustration differently. A frustrated Mahomes is a frustrated Mahomes. We've seen him get flustered to the point that you're now throwing bombs. And so if the Niners can create that noise and keep that noise going and sustain it throughout 60 minutes, there's your Super Bowl. And you all are finally the winners, and your 6th becomes the quest for 7.
Right. That's right.
So, yeah. So CJ also says his condolences to you and your family. Your husband is with you every single day, as long as you keep him in your heart, and he's praying for you. Thank you, CJ. That is so sweet.
Thank you, CJ. I also love CJ's coach for the Jets. He came from my team, Saleh. He's awesome.
Oh, Robert Saleh now.
Yeah, he was with us through our last Super Bowl when we faced the Chiefs. We had Robert Saleh as our defense coordinator. So
yeah. Speaking of defensive coordinators, looks like Arthur Smith. We're going to switch gears for just the last couple of minutes here, because we have 9 ganged everybody. And don't worry, we'll be talking about the Niners and the Super Bowl up until the Super Bowl. You do not want to miss it. I'm going to be talking about it. Northeast Streaming Sports has a plethora of shows without the cost of cable. You're going to want to hear everybody's perspective. There's so many other shows. CJ has his own show on 24/7 on Roku channel and on YouTube and everywhere on Northeast Streaming Sports on Facebook. So you don't want to miss out. Now, like I said, there's been some hirings today. Looks like Arthur Smith has got himself a offensive coordinator position. Arthur Smith, the former Falcons coach, who for the last 3 seasons led them to a 3-7 or what was it? 7-10 season. My apologies. For the last 3 years, he has now been named the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator. So he's going up there with Mike Tomlin. That was named today. Now, Smith served as head coach in Atlanta, and he also served with Tennessee as their offensive coordinator before coming to the league with the Falcons. Now, let's see. We got some more shout outs here. Karen Belk saying the NFL honors is going to be showing on February 8th. Of course, we're going to address all of that then. And so February is a big month for football. CJ said, wait until tomorrow night's show, guaranteed fireworks. So definitely going to be awesome. And it's just going to be amazing. Now, a little bit more news for you guys. Looks like Mac Jones, the Patriots quarterback, probably soon to no longer be quarterback. He's not their starting quarterback right now. He was so frustrated with the Patriots at the end of the season. He's been running his mouth to the enemy. Now, he lost his starting job back in week 13 and served as Bailey Zappe's backup for New England the next 4 games after a very ugly shutout season loss to the Chargers. Now, he's from Alabama, and he ended his campaign on a very sour note. According to Mass Live's Mark Daniels, he didn't receive an advance warning about the additional demotion and found out about his week 18 inactive listing 90 minutes before kickoff. So at this point, he was becoming envious of, Zappy. And so on the other sideline, you have Zach Wilson, who was drafted the same year as Jones. Of course, he's with the Jets, also who lost his starting job, but the Jets have been upfront with him about his struggles. Now, looks like Jones basically went to the locker room to some of his friends, basically saying nobody's talking to him anymore. It's unclear if his frustration was directed at the organization as a whole, Patriots, or if it was just Bill Belichick. And they're saying that Jones and New England's former coach had a broken relationship, and Belichick stopped even speaking to him after week 25. So we know that Belichick is out of that whole organization right now. Looked like he had an opportunity to try to interview with the Falcons. Belichick did. He clearly is not being picked up because he came down here in Atlanta and basically tried to rerun the front office. So Belichick doesn't want to just coach. For all of you all who don't know, you can feel free to fact check this. He wants control. So he doesn't want the GM title, but he wants the GM possession, all the power that goes with that. And Atlanta's front office, it was reported that they were in such a disarray after his second interview with Arthur Blank that they decided not to hire him and to, in fact, hire Raheem Morris, who was their interim coach in the 2021 season, who has a plethora of NFL experience. We talked about that on my last show. Does Bill Belichick go anywhere? He's not trying to just be no coordinator, Stephanie.
No, I don't. At one time I have a nephew who's a really big Panther fan, and he was like, he wanted Bill Belichick to come here. But I know you guys got the Tampa, is it the offensive coordinator that came here?
Let me tell you. So we got Canolis as the head coach, and today we hired Tampa's offensive coordinator as well to follow him. And I'm not thrilled about that pick because what did Tampa do? Tampa, and this guy's only been offensive coordinator a little while under him. They only got to the playoffs because the NFC South was so bad. It was basically you had to pick somebody out of the team. And every team except for the Panthers was praying for the other team to lose on that last regular season game because it would solidify who was actually going to clinch the division. They were literally all one game apart. They literally were all barely above 500. They finished 532, all the three top teams.
Right.
And the only reason why Tampa won is because they held a tiebreaker because they had already beat Atlanta and they had beat New Orleans. Hello to you, Pedro. Yes, it's difficult being a Panthers fan. Now, we don't want it. But I digress. I'll let you finish. I'm sorry, I got a little hyped up there, Stephanie. It's just Tapper was never going to hire Belichick. They would bump heads.
So Pedro is my nephew. He's the one I was talking about. He's the big Panthers fan, and he actually so I'm thinking if you didn't want to hire Belichick to be with Bryce Young.
I wanted him. I would personally want that. But in Carolina, the way Tepper has been off with your head, like he's the queen in Alice in Wonderland, that would never happen. Tepper has a tyrant mentality. This is not my opinion. This has been factually documented. Even people within the organization have come and spoken with the media on, being anonymous and said, hey, he's not the best person to work for. He has a horrible attitude. He's, this person with money, but does not have any type of managerial skills, especially in the league. And so that's why you have 3 coaches within as many seasons within our team. And he got Bryce Young, but Frank Wright and Federline, the former GM, wanted CJ Stroud. And so he went over their heads, picked up Bryce anyway. And when Bryce didn't work out the way he wanted, not because of Bryce's lack, but because of the O-line and the other stuff we have issues with, he fired Wright and Federline, who were the ones that really told him in the beginning that CJ Stroud is more suited for this offense that we have right now. And so, I feel like Belichick is going to end up probably going to Dallas next season when McCarthy loses his job because he's a lame duck right now. He did not get a contract extension because all he could do is 12-5 every season. And so they are basically saying, hey, This is your last year on your contract, and we're not renewing. Prove to us that you should be the coach. So
Right.
even though people are saying Belichick is 71, 72, they only need him a couple of years to get where they need to get. If he had come to Atlanta,
Right.
Atlanta could have gotten them a quarterback because that's all they need. Atlanta with a quarterback is going to be lethal. And they were winning. If they start winning, I'm gonna tell you, if we go through another season, and I'm putting this on the record, I've been living in Atlanta 23 years now. I was always told don't root for Atlanta, because that's not home. Home is the Carolinas. But I'm gonna tell y'all what, this is like the 7th season that the Panthers have just been downwardly spiraling. Now I do want Bryce Young to win. I do. And I
do.
want them to get him the weapons that he needs.
Me
But with
too.
the decisions they're making and bringing in this gentleman from Tampa Bay who had not sold me, selling the farm for everybody else to get everybody else. It's just like I don't know how much longer I cannot, end up basically having to go buy me a red t-shirt. I might have to. I mean, people probably saw me on my
What?
post anyway. Yeah, girl, not at the Falcons Panthers game, but at the Panthers game. I went up there and I still represented my team. But the point is, when the Falcons went to play, I went and watched them play some other teams because I just want a team that I can enjoy football. And since I've been living here this long and the Falcons won a few games, I was like, I'll at least buy a red t-shirt. I own some red shirts. Now I ain't gonna buy no Falcons one, but I'm this close. I'm this close
Aw.
because I've been living here my whole adult life. And it
Mhm.
is ridiculous. You need a coach and you're hiring people that have still not really been proven. Now, Canolis has been offensive coordinator in other organizations, but we need a coach. They may as well bring Jeff Saturday in. They may as well bring him in. They knew when they hired Wright, who had been terminated from Indianapolis, that he was terminated for a reason. Indianapolis looked horrible. They look a little
Right.
better this season, but the point is, Belichick would have been a great fit, in my opinion. He would have got some discipline in there at a minimum, and he probably
Right.
would have been the one that had the balls to stand up to Tepper and be like, look, you're running this franchise into the ground.
Right. And I feel like some of the customers, like I have a job, I work with the electric company and I have a job where I go in homes, but I talk to a lot of people that are like season ticket holders, that, box ticket holders, and they're kind of frustrated with the management. They're like, the owner's a micromanager. I've heard this from so many people that you can't really work for them because it's their way or the highway. And when you guys had Wilkes, even after you got
Oh, don't talk to me about Wilkes. That's
when you
sore
had
subject,
him, you
Stephanie.
started winning. Like,
I
I
know.
don't understand how he
I
ended
know.
up in San Fran. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. That's my
I don't.
point. Now you guys have him and you're going to the freaking Super Bowl.
Right.
Like,
That's crazy that the first
everybody
thing
is
you do
irate
going
about that
bad
because
is get
we're
rid of
all
him.
irate. It's like he wants to tank the team. And CJ says Mac Jones should ask his agent to force a trade to the Jets. He can sit behind Aaron and actually learn. They give him the keys and let him torment the Patriots for the next decade. That's funny. And then CJ also says, try being a Jets fan, mediocrity for 50 plus years and counting. So I'm gonna let y'all know right now, I will not be rolling for 50 years of losing. I'm not saying we got to win everything, but I feel like right now, Stephanie, and audience that are coming on, it's almost like he's deliberately trying to show that this team is not going to win. You're not getting the weapons for Bryce. Well, let's just see. The draft is coming up. Oh, I forgot, guys. We gave away our number one draft pick to freaking Chicago. And so Chicago can either trade Justin Fields, which I don't think they're going to do, and get maybe Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. They could possibly get him in the draft from college, but they probably won't. They'll probably keep him and get Marvin Harrison Jr. to back up with DJ Moore to support with that wide receiver role. But the Panthers need a wide receiver. And I hope we get Azune or somebody. And so it's just really difficult. Karen said, I went to high school ATL, never Falcons fans. Please don't change team, Sonja.
Right.
I'm not gonna change. I just wanna enjoy the game, Karen. I just want to enjoy the game. And I literally had to mentally check out after probably the 5th loss in a row, just so I could enjoy the game. I went to the games. I wore red, but I had on my Panther shoes every time. People were like, "Girl, you are confused." I'm like, "Nope. I'm just here supporting the home team, but I'm not rooting. But I just want to enjoy the game. Not that the Falcons are so much better, but they won. They won
Right.
some games. Karen, I promise you, I will not switch teams. But you guys have to know, especially when you're living in an NFC South rival, and they're all winning, at least winning something. And this is the worst season the Panthers have had. I don't think we were 1-15 one season. I can't recall. But
Right.
nonetheless, Belichick, we need you. I don't know what's happening. Hopefully, this Tampa Bay guy works out. But
Right.
is he going to really work out? What are your thoughts?
So Pedro and I actually went to a game here in the rain when the tickets were like, what were
Don't
they?
say it. Don't say it.
Okay,
Not
well,
on the air, Stephanie. I know all about it.
We went to it in the pouring rain, got rained on.
How much were the
froze,
tickets?
And they won the game. They won the game against your Falcons.
Yes, because the Falcons are indecisive about their quarterback, and I feel like just me, I feel like they were awarded. I feel like CJ Stroud felt bad for his friend Bryce Young when he came to Carolina. And so he gifted him a win because they've known each other since they were 15. And I feel like the Falcons were like, well, the Panthers aren't going anywhere anyway. Let them have it.
Stop.
Yeah, girl.
I watched it. Now, are you guys getting T. Higgins? Pedro says you're getting T. Higgins. Is that real?
Pedro is saying that, and I do not know that. So let me see if he's got breaking news on that, because that would be awesome if we were getting T. Higgins. T. Higgins, who is currently with the Bengals at this moment. Let me see if I see any news. He is a top 10 free agent as of 27 minutes ago. Wow. So thanks for that breaking news, Pedro. I might have to have you on the show. However, looks like Deshaun Watson has come out wanting T. Higgins to play for the Browns. That's up there. Bengals fans are laughing it off because they're like, the Browns are trying to recruit him. There's no solid news right now on where he goes, but we need some weapons, and we don't have anything to trade for him. I guess we could trade Tepper and start getting some stuff. Keeping the faith for a better season. Just saw Panthers hired 4 assistant coaches. Yeah, Karen, they did. They got them all from Tampa Bay, basically. And so I'm not really sold right now. And oh yeah, now she does point out a point on this one. Freaking Mike Evans.
Yeah.
From Tampa Bay. We're hoping he comes to Carolina. We're definitely hoping he comes up. Like, the rumor mill has been talking. I can't remember who it was that was trying to recruit him early on. Maybe Bryce, in fact. But we hope that he comes. He could be a difference maker. Now, there's a person on named Chuck Thurton. Hello, Chuck. Keep Mahomes in the pocket, play tough defense, get a big game from McCaffrey. That's the way to win. And with that, on that winning note, we're out of time, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie, it's been a pleasure. I know you're going to come back and join me soon. Always. Everybody, thank you so much for coming on and engaging tonight. I'll be back on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. And everybody, please make sure you follow Northeast Streaming Sports for all of your sporting news. Good night, everybody, and thanks again, Stephanie.
Gang, Niner gang, guys.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.